Well, I feel like I'm just coming into a little nest created by music. So let's see what's going to happen. It is a musical day. I chose my inspiration from a lyric by Rodgers and Hart for the Broadway show, Pal Joey, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. I'm wild again, beguiled again, a simpering, whimpering child again, bewitched, bothered, and bewildered am I. That's enough. The lyrics seem to remind me of losing my power to outer circumstances. That is, feeling powerless in this world of ours. I don't know about you, but I'm struggling a little bit with things going on close to home, in far distant lands. Just conflict, anxiety, fear, doubt, and just losing my ground. And then I remember. And one thing about the spiritual path over the years, I've been in Unity for 40 years now, and before that in another denomination back to my childhood. And the one way that I feel like I'm making a little progress in life, little baby steps, is it doesn't take me as long anymore to be in a mess, to regain myself, and remember the spiritual teachings that ground me, empower me. So, I'm not in that high-minded state all the time, but I think I'm getting there a little more often. And I hope you find that in your spiritual practice as well. Because since we're in a musical mood, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. How do you get in to a state of consciousness, knowing your connection with God, knowing the power that's working through you with every breath, valuing that time instead of wasting it? You know it by remembering this connection. Well, first, let's look at those interesting words. After all, we are coming up on Halloween week with our party on Friday. Bewitched is defined as influenced by a power outside of yourself. Someone casts a spell on you, Sharon. Bothered, anxiety, doubt, and fear, and it's caused by something, again, outside yourself. Bewildered, perplexed, and confused by outside circumstances. Being off balance or out of a line with our true God-created self. That which we sing, I love just the way it is, I am, can affect our whole equilibrium in our world. When I am in a distracted state, not confident in myself, I can, to begin with, since we are creatures of body, soul, mind, and spirit, I can lose my physical balance, actually. I find that when I'm distracted and lost, I start tripping physically. My body seems to lose its way. in the world, or I'll misplace things, lose my keys, look all over this building for them. And that doesn't seem to happen when I'm centered. When I'm anxious, I'm emotionally disturbed, and this may be hard for you to believe, but I get a little irritable, a little emotionally out of whack. When I don't have mental clarity, I'm easily confused. I don't know what to do. So I actually started taking Prevagen this week, that brain supplement. When I forget my sense of self, I'm no longer connected in my mind, with the almighty source of life, power, wisdom. I learned from experience in caretaking. Many of you have done that or are doing it. I took care of my father until he passed, and then my mother for a number of years as she, as they say, declined. And we learned together a wonderful little practice. It comes from a verse that she and I would share, written by Rudolf Steiner. I gaze into the darkness of doubt and confusion. Then light begins to arise. Who is this light within the darkness? It is I, myself, in my reality. And so she and I would take this into our adventures in the world. In her later years, she could walk, but she had to use a wheelchair to get more than 15 feet. And certainly when we were adventuring, I would take her in the wheelchair and I'd say, Mother, who is this in this wheelchair? And she knew the reply, it is I. It is I. And then on occasion when she'd be in the hospital, and you know what, if you've been in a hospital, what it's like, the atmosphere, it's a little disconcerting. And I'd look, who is in this hospital bed? It is I, she would reply. Her last trip at 95 was going to Italy. And when we got ready to come home and fly out of Rome, they said, we'll get her to the plane, you just go on. I looked out the window. Here comes one of those food service forklift trucks. They have her in a wheelchair 15 feet above the ground, driving along, and then they insert her in the galley door of the airplane, bring her to the chair where I was seated. Who is on this flight to New York? It is I, she'd say. She always knew the response. To claim her power despite the circumstances she was in. It is I. It is I. Myrtle Fillmore wrote, sometimes we fear that we have not the ability to do a thing we ought to do. We fear that there are obstacles in our way. If there are obstacles, we have made them. Thanks, Myrtle. God never put anything in the way of progress. Listen to that confidence. God never put anything in the way of progress, of going forward. When we get rid of our fears, we find that the way is clear for us to go the Spirit's way, to go where life wants to take us. Eric Butterworth, a later generation of great unity teachers, wrote in his book, Discover the Power Within You, get still and acknowledge the guiding principle and the all-sufficient substance of the universe. Have faith in God, in an opulent, orderly universe, and have faith in yourself and your innate divinity, by which you can do what you need to do and have what you desire to have. Now going back in time, May Rowland, an amazing Unity leader who directed our Silent Unity Prayer Ministry, started in 1915 and worked until 1971. 56 years she guided the prayer work that grew so tremendously in our Unity community. And she wrote, "The power of thought is the power of control. We shall become what we wish to become, do what we wish to do. When our habitual thought corresponds with our desire." Listen to that. When our habitual thought that keeps going in the head corresponds with our desire about which we pray. When you get in line with who you are, with who God is, with the potential within your life. Reverend Deanne Weir-Morency wrote in the booklet that we are studying at the Sunday Forum, Change Your Thinking and Change Your Life, reminds us, practice regularly. Notice where your choices aren't in alignment with what you are holding in prayer. Be willing to let go of what you think you know, of who you think you are, and be made new as you access your divine nature. Well, I took that to heart and to mind. And rather than being bewitched, bothered, and bewildered, I started thinking, hey, let's have some radical self-honesty here. What is it, James, that you are claiming, hoping through prayer? And I'm going to catch you when during the week you are short-circuiting your prayers with statements of less than, I can't, they're against me. Hear that? Even we mighty ministers and extremely competent licensed Unity teachers have to watch ourselves on a regular basis. Are my daily words, how I'm acting with others, what I'm doing in this world, is it in alignment with that self that I say I love just the way I am? All of our Unity affirmations. Now, this is not criticizing myself, our licensed teachers, or anyone else. It's just saying we must be vigilant, all of us, in doing what is necessary to bring about that which we are praying for. You pray for greater harmony in your family, your neighborhood, your workplace. Are you supporting that harmony? Are you nurturing it with your words, your actions toward others? Or are you short-circuiting your prayer? That's what good old Eric Butterworth called it. You affirm something, you say, this is my truth, this is what I desire in life, and then you go out after the Sunday service and just undermine all that you were hoping for by saying, you know what I just heard on TV? Why so-and-so's doing this, and da-da-da-da-da, and that. and just wrecking the peace that we created together here. Now, I'm not asking you to be a Pollyanna. I'm not asking you to go out into the world and say, oh, this is not happening. You remember my joke about the Unity ministers that found themselves in hell and said, it's not hot and we're not here. That is not an affirmation. That is a delusion. We have to recognize what's going on in our lives, in this church, our neighborhood, state, nation, world. There is much that needs to be healed. We all know that. So I'm not asking you to put on blinders like a horse so you won't see any of this unpleasantness. You have to see it. As a matter of fact, our great teacher in Unity, Emily Cady, said, if you see this unpleasantness, it's not because you were a bad Unity student. You see it because you can do something about it. You can bring about healing. You can help. And we give you lots of opportunities here, not only in our service, in our prayer times during the week and praying with our chaplains, but we give you opportunities, like next week, to start this collection for Veep, to give you an opportunity. You may be doing it with other organizations, but we are giving you a focused opportunity at Unity South to make a difference in our community by helping people who are struggling for the necessities of life. So that's what I mean when we affirm the truth, when we affirm the highest aspirations we hold for our lives. We don't at the same time ignore someone asking us for food. We see that. But in our prayer, in our affirmation, we look beyond that obstacle. Listen to Mother Myrtle. If there are obstacles in your path, you have made them. Ooh, Mother Myrtle could be tough at times. But what does that mean that we have made them? Well, we're holding that obstacle in our mind. Whether it is real or not, we're giving it space up here. And we have to do some releasing and letting go. That's what our renunciation power is about in the 12 powers. I see it from my chair every Sunday. Big, long word that just means let go what is not true about yourself, about another, about our world. Let go those thoughts. Our nation, our world is just going down the drain. Everything's falling apart. No. Affirm the potential we have to make wonderful, powerful difference in how we live our lives, how we live together in this world. Yes, yes. I'm aware of the pain and the suffering. There's some little thing I can do to help ease that a little bit. A wonderful 19th century minister, and his name's just slipped my mind. Anyway, what he said was important. You can't do everything, but you can do something. And don't let yourself worry that you can't do everything and keep you from doing the something you can do. My little baby steps from earlier. Do what you can. Go in the direction, go forward, as Myrtle said. We all have that potential, or we wouldn't be here living on this planet. So it's your choice. Wow! Wow! I think it's awesome. Every time I realize the power I've been given, the power you've been given, the power everyone's been given to make a difference. So, as the Rodgers and Hart song ended, bewitched, bothered, and bewildered no more. That's how that song comes to a conclusion. The character singing it realized her power, her ability. She could step beyond her confusion, her anxiety. No one in the world was bewitching her. She knew her truth. I'm hoping off stage, she said, "It is I. It is I." Remind yourself on a daily basis, anytime you catch yourself struggling or your body doesn't feel so happy and well, as Yvette reminded us, say, in this circumstance, it is I who is in control. It is the God-created spirit within me that can meet this circumstance. Sing this song. Do a kindness. Help others who are struggling in this world. It is I. Let's turn our attention within to kind of seal this experience before we conclude our service. And I invite you to become comfortable, close your eyes if you choose, but just go to the center of your being. It's not about your body. It's not about any struggles of this morning, October 26th. It's about your truth. And I take these words from the prophet Jeremiah, who sent letters from Jerusalem when the Hebrew people were in captivity in Babylon. And he sent letters as a prophet to remind them of their truth while they were in difficult, hard times. Jeremiah wrote, "For surely I know the plans I have for you, plans for your welfare and not for harm, to give you a future with hope. Then when you call upon me and come to pray to me, I will hear you. When you search for me, you will find me. If you seek me with all your heart." So in that mood, I ask you to hear these words from Unity for this October. By faith, I perceive the truth, the lasting truth, beyond the temporary appearances. Faith opens my inner sight. I trust the divine activity at work in every experience. Even when the path is uncertain, I remain rooted in trust. Trust in the Almighty, trust in life, trust in the eternal. I walk forward, not by fear, but by faith. Good is here because God is here. Good is here because God is here. Let us hold that thought for a moment in the silence. God is here. And now gently allow your attention to return to this outer sanctuary, where you are seated with your friends all about you. And commit yourself to a regular practice of acknowledging God's truth within you, within others, within all the world. We do what we can about temporary circumstances. But at the same time, we gain our power by seeing the truth that is always true. It is I. And as we transition now, I invite you to take